Welcome to the Business Growth Spotlight, where we shine a light and talk with business leaders from all over the world who are here sharing their expertise and wisdom so we can all grow together. I'm your host, Heidi Schalk, co-founder of HLH Growth Solutions, where we help businesses scale revenue through outside-the-box visibility and automation strategies. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. You are here on a great day. We've been spending a lot of time behind the scenes. I've been chatting with my guests. I think we spent too much time chatting. So we're now like moving into the podcast phase. This really never happens. And I'm like, we got to kind of move forward, but I still want to chat with her behind the scenes. So this is an amazing day to join us. You are in for quite a conversation. So without further ado, I want to introduce my guest today, Vivienne Wagner with Houndstooth Media Group. So welcome, Vivienne, to the podcast.
Heidi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad to be here.
I'm excited to chat with you. So Vivienne, kick us off. Tell us a little bit about yourself, about Houndstooth Media Group, which that's an interesting name. I can't wait to learn more about that. Sure. And about your role within the company.
Absolutely. Well, Houndstooth Media Group is a boutique digital marketing agency. We work with small business owners up to, medium business owners. I don't do corporate. It's too much. I need a decision maker. Let's work one-on-one. But we specialize in SEO and AI visibility, as well as all of the other marketing things you would think a marketing agency would do. And it's funny that you say that you like the name, because one of my favorite patterns is the houndstooth pattern. It's a classic pattern. And I've always been drawn to it. And when I was starting my agency, 13 years ago, I was trying to do a variation of my name, and I just couldn't land on anything. And like the Greek chorus from the other room, my husband goes, Houndstooth Media Group, because I like the pattern so much. Okay. I think I have a piece from high school that has houndstooth on it. From high school. That was 800 years ago. And so I'm so glad, because, you're talking about scaling. It's hard to scale one's name. How do you build a team-driven company? How are you scaling when it's the Vivienne Wagner show? So it turned out to be serendipitous for sure.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I used to have a coaching company where I supported women in business strategy, and it was called Heidi Schalk Coaching. And once we determined, there's a huge gap in the market with women who they want to have coaching businesses, but they don't know how to do the behind the scenes stuff. So they really struggle with that. So that's where we pivoted and we went to HLH Growth Solutions. So but Houndstooth is like such a different, like, it's like, what is that? I want to learn more. So great job on the name. Yeah.
Well, I'll thank my husband. And it's one of those things, you can dress it up, pair it with something classic, or you can put on Doc Martens and take it real edgy and go in a punk direction with it. I mean, it's just super versatile. And that's something that I actually like to think of us as an agency, is versatility and the ability to adapt and messaging and all of that. So it fits.
Amazing. So I'm curious, what originally drew you into media visibility and digital strategy?
My entire business happened by accident. I did not set out to start an agency at all. We're currently a virtual team. We work with companies all over the country. I think I've got 16 people on the team, but I started this by accident at my dining room table. So I had no plans for a business. It just was this beautiful, happy accident. Because I started out actually as a blogger way back in the day. I was just, creating content and writing about things I liked to do, like decorating and cooking and my kids and whatever. But I grew an audience, and I started understanding how search works and how to leverage social media. This is back in like 2008. So it still felt kind of new. In fact, I think I published my first blog post and didn't understand it was going to be live on the internet. Like, that's how far I've come. And, from there, that was kind of my college of learning how organic search works. How do you draw people to you based on what you have on your website or what you're putting out online? And so from there, I started having people ask me for help with their businesses. In particular, I had a friend who's a real estate agent, and her brokerage asked her to write a blog post once a week, and she's too busy to do it. So she hired me. And then from there, other agents were hiring me, and it just kind of evolved. But yeah, it started at my dining room table.
I love that because, I had an interview with a woman earlier today on our other podcast, Be She, Be Seen, Be Heard, Be Empowered. And it was interesting how she started doing what she was doing. She basically had her own podcast and she was going through something herself and she shared it. And she was shocked at how many people resonated and reached out to her because of what she shared. So I love that you just shared that. And because I want people to know, and this is off topic of what we're talking about in this podcast, but sharing what you're doing, being true to what your challenges are, what you're new to, like what your experiences are, what you love about yourself, true, authentic visibility. And we're going to talk about AI. AI is here. It's not going away. But with what you shared, and then just speaking with somebody earlier about what she shared, it's coming together perfect on it's important to be, there is a place for AI but it's not going to take away the authenticity of visibility. And by sharing what you're moving through, your story, your journey, and just doing it a little messy sometimes, right? Like falling into it, having some fun along the way.
Interesting how you're saying that, be a little messy. I love that because AI seems to spit out perfection.
Yeah.
It's too polished. You need to rough up those edges if you're going to use AI for all of that content creating. But the authenticity, the emotional connection that we have with people, that does come from a little bit of vulnerability. It comes from real world lived experiences. And we'll get into this in a minute, but AI actually picks up on that. If you are being very vulnerable, very forthright, AI reads that, sees it, clocks that information, and, builds up an idea of who you are, who you serve, how you help, what's the value you bring, and that subject matter expertise. Even like one of my most popular posts on my blog that I used to have got a lot of traction and really resonated with people was I shared that one of our sons had been in a very terrible accident. He's totally fine now, married, living his best life, all the things. But it was a situation where I wound up in a position, it's my stepson. I had to have my husband's ex-wife in my home on a daily basis for 6 weeks. She's in my house. And what I shared on that journey was, okay, this is going to be awful. I'm imagining it's going to be awful. This woman who I've butted heads with for however many years is now going to be in my house. And the way I looked at it was she's freaked out about her son. He had to be with us because we had a single story. She had stairs, all the things. But I decided I was going to do all I could to make her comfortable. I was going to give to her everything I would want if the shoe was on the other foot. And I had to be in that position because I'm sure it was awkward for her too. And where I was dreading, like, I'm going to walk on eggshells and this is going to suck, it turned into, we're really good friends now. We've gone on vacations together.
That's amazing.
My husband's ex-wife. And it had such a response because people were like, I would tell the story and people were like, that's really messy. That's really real life. And that isn't something that you would get popped out of a polished Perplexity prompt or Claude. So when we share those vulnerabilities and that storytelling, that's never going to go away.
Yeah, absolutely. And we got the M dashes and all of that. So
what really makes me mad, I've used M dashes for years. And M dash is I even know like the alt code to make it happen when I'm typing. And I can't use it anymore because people will think it's AI.
Yeah, very true. There's a lot of times that I'm using, and it's a good point. I'm using, ChatGPT or Claude or something. And the M dash works. But again, to your point, it's going to show that it's AI. And even if we tweak it or whatever, we want that. And I'm like, okay, what can I use instead? The dash really works, but that's another conversation. So what makes Houndstooth different from other media or visibility agencies? You shared a little bit about how you got started, but we talked a little bit about behind the scenes about what you do and how you create visibility for companies. And I was just like, this is awesome because we have not talked about that on this podcast.
Yeah. Well, let me start off by saying there's a lot of times where like it doesn't sound good to say, I'm in marketing, I'm a marketer. I don't, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors out there. There's a lot of jargon and it feels slippery and it doesn't feel, it feels like snake oil a little bit, right? And people are suspicious of marketers. And I absolutely recognize that. So we kind of operate with this core principle of our clients' wins are our wins. What do we need to do for the client? We don't need to impress them with metrics or anything like that. They need to see actual wins. They need to see something quantifiable. It needs to impact their business in a positive way. And so that's the metric we shoot for. And we speak very plainly. We don't have a lot of jargon and industry insider speak because it goes right over people's heads. Not because they're dumb, it's because they don't want to know this. They just want it to work. And so we approach everything that way. And that includes SEO, which is still, it's not going away. It's still very important. It's a foundational thing that you must have for your website, which is the core of your business, because AI doesn't pull answers out of thin air. AI also finds the websites that are properly, have a good foundation, that they're properly optimized. And then from there, AI can find you and then recommend you based on what else you have on your website. How clear are you about it? Because I personally, AI is the new personal referral. AI is the new recommendation. So it's not just being seen, it's being recommended. And there's definitely things that business owners need to know and take care of to make sure that happens for them.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I'm glad that you said that because there's so many more people that I'm hearing. I don't know that I fully have used AI for recommendations yet, but I know that people are. And I know that it's important because people are shifting from using Google for search of recommendations to chat or their AI tool or whatever that looks like. And there's different things that you need to do because I've actually played with chat and go, okay, how do businesses become your suggestions, right? It's not something you can finagle. There is a strategy behind it. And SEO is a big piece of it. And SEO is a bear. If you don't know SEO, you want to make sure that you're hiring the right people to do this for you. I know how important that is. You don't just want to, there's companies that are like, oh, I can build your website for $300 or really cheaply. And that's great, but it's not going to do anything as far as getting you seen. Unless you're sending that link out. If that's all you're doing and that's your goal, then fine, do that. But if you really want to utilize that website to the full capability, you want to make sure that you're SEO optimized. So can you talk further into that? So for those companies that are like, wait a minute, chat can really refer me or they can suggest me. What does that look like for a company that reaches out to you, and what's the process?
Sure. Well, let me speak to 2 points there because we got SEO talking about, how do you do that? It seems daunting to how do you get chat to recommend you? So SEO at its core is making sure that your website is found in a search, right? And what Google's looking for is who are you, what do you do, and who's your ideal customer? Okay. If you are clear on those 3 things and your website lists it very plainly in your content, you're going to get found. Those are the 3 things. Who are you? What do you do? Who do you serve? If you have those 3 things dialed in, you're already ahead of the game. There's lots of people who it's not clear. And clarity is the new currency. I'm convinced of that. If people can tell what you do, Google's going to find you. And what I tell my clients is it's helpful to think of Google as a librarian. You can Google something and the librarian's going to go, yep, there's books over there. Go check those out. But you're expected to read those books yourself, or at least thumb through them and see if it's the right answer.
Right.
Those books are websites. Go look at the website. So everybody's organic search traffic's been going down because nobody wants to read the websites anymore. Because there's a detective AI who will read the books for you. And then that detective comes and gives you a singular answer. And then probably follows up with, would you like to learn more? Or have you thought about that's the difference between Google and AI. But AI is still reading the Google sites. So SEO is very, very important.
Right.
So that's how we kind of explain it. Remember, I told you I don't like jargon. I like it
Yes.
simple and straightforward. I want my clients to understand what it is we're talking about. So then when you think about how many people, the best thing to do if you're a business owner is put on your consumer hat. Don't think like a business owner. How do you search? What are you doing when you need something? Are you going and reading all of those? Or you're like, oh, thank you. There's an AI overview at the top. I can just read that and get the information I needed right there in the search results. I don't need to go anywhere. So there's that sort of high level overview, but then there's lots of people going to ChatGPT or Claude or pick your AI platform and starting their search there. And it's not just a search, it's a guided conversation. Here's a true story that I encountered just last week. I had an allergic reaction to one of my skincare products and I needed to replace it. I gave ChatGPT, like, this is the product I was using and this is the reaction I'm having, and I need a new substitute. And it actually didn't just say, okay, swap this one out for this one. It said, what other products are you using right now? What else are you using? Okay, give me that link. Like, it listed all of the things that might have contributed to the reaction. And then gave me a diagnosis basically that said, quit everything cold turkey right now. Don't use anything that has this ingredient in it. And here's a cleanser you should use instead. Well, I've never heard of that cleanser. I buy expensive stuff. Like, that's a drugstore $9 cleanser. I'm not going to
You're
use
like,
that.
how much have I spent in the past 5 years?
No, I argued with it. I argued with ChatGPT and I said, I really want to stay away from any sort of a chemical ingredient. And it schooled me. It said just because it's chemical doesn't mean it's an irritant, and just because it's natural doesn't mean you won't have a sensitivity to it. Because I was like, what about goat's milk soap? And I went, okay. And then it said, I recommend this one. And it put a clickable link to the product it wanted me to buy in chat, and I purchased it through chat.
So that
Business
company,
owners,
that company you've never heard of,
never
just
heard of
from
it.
doing a search and just from an issue challenge that you were having in that specific moment, got a
Right.
sale from you because
Yes.
of chat.
This is not me as a marketer. This is me as a consumer who needed to replace a skin cleanser. And I purchased it through my ChatGPT after having a long conversation with it and going down a couple rabbit holes of, oh, I didn't think that those ingredients would interact like that. I've used that one for years. Is it because I put a new in it? Like, it's a full conversation that you can have. And it is a mistake to be a business owner and assume that your ideal customers are continuing to search in the old way.
Yeah.
And that your people who already know, like, and trust you, fine, they can Google your name. What if they don't know you? I didn't know the name of this product. I would never Google it because I don't know the name of it. I didn't Google, I asked ChatGPT about my symptoms. And the symptoms I had, the problems I had, matched that product's description. And who is it good for? And people who are having, a skin sensitivity. ChatGPT was able to pick that up because it's very nuanced. It's a conversation, not like a little product description. So it knew a lot. And your customers, same thing. So it's important that, yes, you have a dialed in SEO, but it's also important that you're showcasing your authority, your expertise, your accreditations, like all of the layers that make your business better than your competitor or differentiate. So that all has to be on your website and shared on your social media, because AI looks at your social media too. It's getting a big picture of who you are, and search depends on that. So think of it like a big ecosystem as opposed to, this is what I do for my website, and this is what I do with social media, and this is the press I get. Like, it's all interconnected.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like with the evolution of AI and how fast it's being updated and evolving, that social media will be changing too along the way. So what we're seeing now could look a lot different than what we're seeing in even 5 years. Because I know just like you said, like, you did not learn this from social media or any advertising you found. You literally had a challenge. You went on ChatGPT. you asked it questions, it asked you questions to dive deeper, and it
Mhm.
gave you an answer and a result, even with your kickback. And that's
Yeah, even with my reluctance. Yeah.
Even with your like, no, that's not what I want. And it's scouring. And that's what, and I see it. We all see it. It'll be, as soon as you ask it of something, and if it's a little deeper, it'll think, it's going thinking, and then it'll give you the answer. And a lot of times it will go deeper and deeper and deeper. It's getting better and better and better every single day.
And
I
there's
think
no need to keep up with the operational part of it. Like whatever you're using for your business, there's going to be a new shiny thing tomorrow that's also AI. The part that I just want to hammer home for business owners is make yourself findable, discoverable.
right.
Don't worry about keeping up with the latest shiny AI object. Instead, make sure that you're in a position to be found by whatever's coming tomorrow.
Right. I think it's important to automate your systems. There's certain systems that need to be automated and put in place.
Certainly.
But just as you said, find those systems that you're comfortable with and go all in on those. Don't worry about trying to tweak and better those every single month, because there are going to be updates. And if you have somebody doing those for you on the back end, they're going to be working on updating it for you. Getting your business findable, searchable in this new way is really, really key. And I know that we looked into it and we haven't cracked the code on it. So I'm glad that to hear that you're helping businesses do that, because to be in that top 10 search for chat is going to be key for a lot of businesses. And the way that advertising and marketing is being done is going to be shifting in the next, it's already shifting. We're already seeing it. I mean, it's just a matter of getting in the forefront of what that looks like. And make sure that your website, not only your website, but your socials are optimized for that is key. So we know SEO is important for websites. Do you also support them on optimizing socials so they can make sure that they're up to speed on that as well? Because chat's scouring everything.
It is. And so like back to this skin cleanser, I've never heard of it. For all I know, they have very robust social media where they're showing before and afters of people who use their product, and their caption is describing why it's great and who it's for. So the same SEO principles, even though we wouldn't necessarily apply SEO to Instagram, although you can do alt text, right? All I know, like they are reading the caption because I've never heard of the product. So I certainly am not following them on social. AI also reads reviews. So if you're getting Google Business Profile, if you don't have it set up, you need to, and you need to encourage your customers and clients to leave you reviews, because the review metric matters. But as important as the review from your customer, it also is important that you respond to it in a friendly, conversational, keyword-rich way, because AI sees all of that.
Wow.
It sees everything and it informs who it's going to recommend. So if you have a business where your website is completely beautifully optimized from A to Z, and you've done all the right things on your website, but your Google reviews are very negative and you don't respond to negative reviews, or when you do, it's picking a fight back or whatever. AI takes that into consideration, because remember, AI is recommending places. So you might be great, but the reviews for this one aren't really good. So here's a different one. It's still look every single place where you can optimize your online presence. And remember, it's who are you, what do you do, who are you for? Those three things, that should be the through line for all of your online presence.
Can you repeat that again? Because that is gold.
Who are you? Who are you? What do you do? And who are you for? Who's your ideal customer? That should be the through line through every bit of your online presence, from your website to your social media to your reviews and Google Business Profile. Everywhere you should be making sure that people know those three things.
Okay, so that's key. So for those of you listening, make sure stop or pause and then come back. Make sure that you write that down. We'll have it in the show notes. But who are you? What do you do? And who are you for? Make sure that you're answering those. So you go to all your social media platforms. It doesn't matter where you are, who you are. If you have one, great. Make sure that one's answering those questions. If you have 7, make sure you're answering those questions. Make sure your website's
Exactly.
covering that. And you're going to be ahead of most of the companies out there as far as clarity goes. Connection was the big currency we heard years ago. That's still key. Connection's still key. But clarity is where there's a lot of noise out there. And I agree with you. I literally just posted today around clarity. Internet rewards noise. Everybody's searching for, how do I post more? Because I got to post more to get in front of more people. Yeah. And I'm working my butt off and I'm exhausted and I feel like nothing's changing. And I'm so focused on how many likes I have and how many views I have. And that is great. And if it's not driving revenue, if you're, then it doesn't really matter, because there's companies out there that get very little of that and they're multi-million-dollar companies. And then there's businesses out there that are getting a lot of that and they're not turning that into revenue. So I would love to hear from you, Vivienne, when it comes to, what you see companies struggling with on consistently converting that visibility to actual revenue, because I know it's a challenge.
So the objective here isn't to get louder, it's to get more clear, the clarity. And before I answer the rest of the question, a quick tip for your audience is, if you are very clear on who you are, what you do, and who you serve, go ahead and go to ChatGPT or go to Notebook and put all of your business assets there and say, this is my branding and style guide, and here is who we serve and what we do, and give it all of that information and say, do you have a clear picture of who we are, what we do, who we serve? Okay, great. Here is my current website. Analyze it for messaging. Is what I say I do and who I'm for coming through in my website? And use something that's already at your fingertips to at least get a bead on if you're in the right ballpark, because you might not be. And at least you'll know where you've got a working point to start from. On that note, that's where you can start to see conversions, because if you're very clear about who you are for, when they arrive at your site, they're going to be more likely to make that purchase, because visibility is very important, but so is your messaging and your position in the market. So for example, if you are a bridal shop and you want to work with high-end designer dresses and brides looking for a luxury experience, but you're attracting brides into your shop who are looking for affordability and, something off the rack, you have a misalignment.
Yeah.
And you're wasting time working with brides who are ultimately not your right person. So that's where understanding how your website's being perceived is really, really important, because you absolutely have to not only be clear on it yourself, but you have to make sure it's clear to who it is that you're trying to attract.
Yeah. I love that analogy that you put into place, because it makes it super simple. Because I know there's a lot of companies out there and we've been in that situation too. It's like, okay, well, who we're attracting isn't necessarily who we want to work with, and vice versa. There's a lot of companies out there who are like, wait a minute, I'm doing all the things I've been told to do. And I feel like I'm still throwing spaghetti at the wall and it's not working. And then there's periods where you have the ups, and then there's periods where you're like, oh no, what's missing? How come we were doing so well at some point and then we fell off? And that's where you go back to the basics. I think a lot of companies, a lot of challenges they have is they don't go back to the basics, and they overcomplicate, like you were mentioning earlier. Keep it simple. Keep your messaging simple. Talk to your ideal client, your people, as they're talking about the problem that they're having, because we can overcomplicate and use this jargon that our ideal clients aren't using when they're searching. Now, if you're talking to doctors, use the jargon that they're using. If you're talking to the everyday person about their pain, they're not talking about it at a level that a doctor would be talking about that pain. So
exactly. And that's a great analogy, because I'm not a doctor. If I go to WebMD, I don't want to read the journal report. And what's important about the example of WebMD is, if we go there, we're not putting into like cancer. what are all of the symptoms of it? No, you go in and you're like, I have a splitting headache. And you're searching for your symptom. You're searching for your problem. And that could be anywhere from you're dehydrated, why don't you drink some water, to you should go see a doctor and get a PET scan. Like depending on what you find, but it is in the language that I use, not a doctor. And every one of us is like that. We're searching for our pain, we're searching for our problem. That's what we put into a, search bar.
Just
So
like
we
you,
ask Chat.
yeah, yeah, just like you did. So I'm curious for your business. We talked about AI and how you help them with the utilization of AI and getting seen by AI. Where is AI helping you in your workflow currently?
Like an operational tool.
Yeah, I guess. Like, how are you all utilizing the benefits of AI for your growth itself?
So, I mean, we are using ChatGPT and Perplexity and all of that. I use it a lot for when a client will send an email and I'm like, what are they actually saying here? And I'll put it in, and say what is their main concern here? What are they actually asking for? And then I'm like, okay, thanks, because it might not be a well organized email, or they might lead with something that I'm like, we talked about that. That's like, so I use it honestly for translation sometimes. So, and talking about speaking the language back to the people who are searching. I want to be able to answer my clients' questions in the language they're using. I always want to teach, right? And I'm hoping that I'm encouraging them like to understand their business, because everything that you have, your website, all these are digital assets. You need to be holding the keys to the kingdom here. Don't give away your authority or your autonomy. And so I want them to understand why they're there. So I use it for that a lot. But it's not new, but it's new to me, is Notebook LM, which I had never found before. I'm like, it's a free Google product I already have. Okay. So I love the idea that I can take anything I want about a client, the work we've done with them, their branding, their voice, all of these things. And I love that I can put it in and keep it in a little folder where the notebook is only looking at the things I've given it. It's not adding in additional resources that are inappropriate. It's not hallucinating. It's dialed in for this particular client. And I love to be able to use the client's transcripts, own words, whatever. We have lots of copywriters and strategists. So I can take all of the information in Notebook and I create explainer bit videos about our new client so that I can introduce the team. This is how we use it. And it's been really helpful to be able to say, just watch the video. You don't have to attend the 2.5 hour discovery call. Watch the video. Who is this client? And then they can take, their baton and continue the race. But that's one of the ones that I've really liked.
Amazing. I've heard when people find Notebook, they're just like, oh, where has this been all my life?
Right there in your Google Apps.
Yeah, it's pretty spectacular. So with your team, I know you have a team you mentioned of 16 and they're virtual, so they're dispersed. Do you have anything in place that helps you as a team come together with systems and efficiency that you use on the back end besides what you're using yourself, such as like the AI tools like Chat, Claude, Notebook?
Yeah. Well, and we have team accounts for that. So everybody can see, like, it's all very transparent and everybody can see what everybody's doing because yeah, we are all virtual. I have people that I've worked with for 8, 10 years. There's a guy in Florida where we never met him in person. He's worked here 8 years. It's just going to be how it is, right? But we use Basecamp as our project management system. That is our virtual office. We have different projects where we keep everything transparent and have that's really the floor of our systems. And then honestly, I hire good people and I let them create our SOPs. I'm not in the day-to-day anymore. I don't do that. I have an awesome team who carries things out. I tried to create the SOP. Well, I don't do the job. Why am I trying to tell them what steps to take? And so I let them create the SOPs and put together a good workflow. They all agree on it. And of course, they share them with me, and I actually sometimes don't stick to the SOP, and I make a mess, and they will let me know that you did this wrong, and I'm like, I'm sorry. But I love that, and the only input I had for how they create those SOPs, and we use Google Drive and your standard things. My request is, what do we want to have? What is the finished product at the end of whatever we're doing?
Mhm.
What is the deliverable? How do we get there? And then also included in the SOP, I want to know, how do we want the client to feel through this entire process? What's the deliverable and how are they feeling in the process? And that's very much part of the SOP as well, because you have to have those touch points. You have to do those check-ins, make sure the client understands. And so really, this is the outcome I want. You guys reverse engineer it. What are the steps that need to be taken to get here?
Yeah. And I love that you mentioned you give your team the freedom to do that, because I think that's a big bottleneck for beginner founders when they're growing a team, is sometimes they struggle with delegation because they want to hold on. I can do it better and faster because I've been doing it. I've been doing all the things, right? We're doing all the
Right.
things when we start. And then when we bring someone else in, the reason we brought them in is hopefully they can do it better and faster, and they know
Yeah.
more about it than we do. Otherwise, we shouldn't be passing that off, but then they still want to hold on to it. So I love that you mentioned like they handle the SOPs of that project. Why am I doing it? Because if I don't, that's not my zone of genius. It's not what I do. Let them do it. And you give them that freedom, and that you're basically allowing your team to create the magic that you brought them on to create, right?
Right. That's
Letting
why
them
I
be in
say
their
this
zone
is
of
the
genius.
outcome I want.
Right. You make that happen.
How do you make that happen? And I mean, we do joke because I'll sometimes jump back in. The joke around our office is I am the best at loading the dishwasher. Nobody does it the way I do it. And
Right.
it's like, but the dishes still get clean and you shouldn't be loading. What are you in here?
Yes.
And it's kind of like an office joke. But one of my business mentors many years ago said this to me, and it stuck with me the whole time because I was trying to pry my hands off of things. And he said, every single time you do something that you should have delegated to another person, you are stealing from your own company.
Hmm.
And that really landed for me. And I had never considered it. I had never thought about it that way. And all these years later, I still think about it. I did make the mistake of sharing that brilliant nugget with my team because I just thought it was fascinating.
They
A,
always tell you.
a couple of weeks later, I did something that wasn't my job anymore, but I was like, oh, I'm right here. I'll just take care of this. I did it wrong. I didn't follow their SOP. I had to, pay the person to fix my mistake and then do it correctly. But they sent me a text, one word, beef. And I went, yep. That's when you have good team
You have a
members.
good team. You have a very good
Yeah,
team. Yeah.
yeah.
So, Vivienne, for you, I had another question, but we're going to maybe bring you back for that. We could talk about culture and team, which I feel like you would really add a lot of value to that. But for you, as far as like how you're growing and how you're getting visible and how your clients are finding you, what's working for you marketing wise? What, like, visibility wise, what are you doing? What's working for you? And on the flip side of that coin, what have you tried or done that hasn't gotten you that ROI or that result that you had hoped for?
One of the things we're doing to raise our visibility is create basically hosting webinars, free webinars that teach this. I want people to be empowered, and people will see that they're capable of doing it, but then they're like, but I think I need some other help. So we're raising our visibility that way. You know, you're kind enough to have me here today. That raises visibility. I do speaking, I do networking. I hate social media, so I have my team handling that. We do what we need to do to deliver great things for our clients, and we get a lot of referral and word of mouth business, which is wonderful. I love it, but it also isn't necessarily scalable. So we've been in business 12 or 13 years, and everything has been referral and word of mouth. up until like the last 6, 8 months where I'm like, okay, we need to go out and be more visible. We need to do that for ourselves because you pour into your clients. I'm sure you know the same thing, right? You pour into your team, you pour into your clients. And at the end of the day, you're like, oh, I'll take care of me tomorrow, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a little cycle, but we need to break our cycles and we need to make sure that our businesses are visible too.
Yeah. So if I could give you a magic wand, then, and you can go poof over one challenge or issue you're having right now that you'd like to like make disappear, what would that be and why?
You are gonna laugh, but poof, I don't like our website. Our website has needed a redo for a good 3 years. And guess who's the bottleneck on that project? Me. They give me designs and I'm like, okay, I think I like this. And I sit with it a while. I'm like, I'm the worst client ever. I'm the client where it's like, we can't make her happy. And I don't know what it is. I am becoming that person who says, I'll know it when I see it. And I haven't seen it yet. And in the meantime, we're not getting it moved forward. So if I had a magic wand, I would have a perfect website that I can't even envision what it looks like.
Yeah.
I know what needs to go in it, but I can't. And I laugh at myself. I'm the bottleneck and I'm reducing our own visibility right there.
So saying that, I'm curious, is your website, it's working, obviously. It's
Oh,
worked.
yeah.
It brings you
Yeah.
people. So it's not like, okay, but you're just like, I just really want to change. I just don't know what that looks like yet.
I want to take our visual branding in a different direction. Visually it's very dated to me
Okay.
and it doesn't fully explain what we do. It predates AI, so there's really no mention of this new expertise that we have, which has really become the foundation and focal point of everything else that we do. And it's not on my own website because I'm the bottleneck.
And again, we're going to go back to people clarity, right? Clarity is currency. And she's literally practicing what she preaches is that
Yes.
Vivienne's like, okay, I know we need more clarity. And she's working on that piece because clarity is always going to be able to take away any of those hurdles or those bottlenecks for your clients to reach you. So the more clear you are, who you are, what you do, who's it for, right?
The three things.
The three things, make sure you're clear on that. And I know you've been clear, but as we evolve and grow, if you're a business that's staying in alive, basically you're staying in business, you have to evolve and grow. You can't stay stagnant. You can't be doing 5 years ago and being stuck 5 years ago and still be moving with the times. And so that's where, Vivienne's practicing what she preaches. She's like, we're evolving and now we get to figure out how to get clear. So we're sharing that message with our clients so they can more easily find us, along with all the AI tools that are out there so that when people are asking those questions, this is my problem, Vivienne Houndstooth is showing up as this is your solution.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Yep.
Okay. Vivienne, can you share with our audience how they can find you, connect with you? Because I know people are listening going, I have to talk with her.
Absolutely. I have a free webinar that I believe is going to be in the show notes, and that's on demand. It will teach you everything with visuals of what I was just talking with Heidi about today. But you can reach me at Houndstooth Media Group .com and find us on LinkedIn and Instagram, or you can email me directly at viv@houndstooth.
So easy. So if you're watching us on YouTube, thank you. Vivienne and I are excited that you're here with us. We say hello. If you know of somebody that would benefit from hearing Vivienne and learning more about Houndstooth, please share this episode with them. I know you know someone that can benefit from their business learning about this side of visibility and this side of marketing that they haven't heard of yet, or they don't know how to do. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcast platform, thank you. Please share this episode with other people that could benefit from hearing Vivienne today and learning more about Houndstooth Media Group. And what else can I share? Go get that webinar. She literally lays out the strategy. She tells you how to do it. And reach out to her and learn more about how they can support you in that. Vivienne, before I let you go, is there anything else you'd like to share or say that we didn't talk about or didn't touch on today?
Oh, there's always so much. Always so
I
much,
was just
but
thinking the same thing. I'm like, I
we've
want to
been
talk more.
talking and chatting, and it I'm sure there's something that I'll think of later, but I've enjoyed every minute of this.
I've enjoyed it too. And I know that like there's so many other questions I want to dive into because you've built a team. And I think that's so key in creating a successful business and also attracting the clients that you want to attract. It starts from within. So I don't know, maybe we can revisit this conversation and dive into that in the future when you have some time. But for those of you listening, reach out to her. She's fantastic. She's amazing. She knows her stuff. And again, we have not talked about this side of marketing or visibility on this podcast before. It's something you need to know and be aware of and start now in learning how to move from the things that you're doing, keep doing them. And how is AI going to help you marketing wise in the chat, Claude, all of those types of platforms out there? They're selling for you, but you need to be able to strategize and optimize your platforms in order for it to find you and make sure that you're in that top list that they're promoting. So Vivienne's the person. Go reach out to her. Thank you, Vivienne.
Thank you.
Thank you all for listening to us today. And I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of the Business Growth Spotlight.